Hey guys, Ben with Design 3, and today I'm talking to Alexander Bruce, aka Demruth, the designer and developer of Antichamber. How you doing today, Alex?
I'm pretty well.
Sweet. First off, big congratulations from everybody at Design 3 on your IGF Award for Technical Excellence.
Thank you very much.
So, what are some of your favorite video games of all time, and when did you first start playing video games?
So my favorite game ever is Chrono Trigger, which I have finished like 65 times over the years because I was like, I just got obsessive about that game, and specifically because of like the New Game Plus feature, being able to go back in, replay the game with all your awesome equipment, and then having, you know, a whole lot of different endings around the place to find. And then probably Super Metroid, and I think that a bunch of the influences from that show up in Antichamber once you start running around like further into the game and you understand that this is kind of a Metroidvania.
Right. Do you have a favorite video game character?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably have to throw out a Pokemon for that one. So.
Can you talk a little bit about how you kind of define difficulty early on and then, you know, ramp it up so it gets more and more challenging for the player?
So in 2009, I basically had the whole game built, but it was totally not understandable to players at all because I was just throwing all of these random new ideas about space and geometry at the player, and there was no real sense of flow. And so because I already knew all of the concepts that I needed to teach people, I would then take some of the puzzles and be like, well, this is a more introductory puzzle to space, like the staircase that keeps sending you back to the start of itself. I was like, this is a good introduction to space, so I'm going to put this first. This is a good introduction to geometry, so I'm going to put this, you know, somewhere around here. And I did the best I could of laying things out like that before I had this idea of non-Euclidean space. But one of the issues was that people kept on encountering dead ends, you know, like you do all the time in Metroidvanias. And I would teach them something at a puzzle over here that they would need to apply at something over here, but they weren't able to make that connection because these were two completely disconnected areas in space. And then I was like, well, I can't move this one up here because I really need it here for other reasons. But what I can do is I can just like arbitrarily connect this to this, and then this to this, and this to this. And you start doing that enough, and you know, the game just really started flowing really well.
Do you have any methods you use to manage your time and stay on track with everything you're doing?
I don't, because I'm the only person working on it. Like, if I don't have, you know, someone looking over my shoulder and I'm just like sitting down working, I'm just going to get completely lost in my work and just work for like 12 hours straight, you know? Whereas if I'm like, oh, you know, how much time have I been spending on things, then I'm A, wasting a lot of time worrying about how much time I'm spending on things, but it's just adding like an arbitrary pressure to the task for no reason. Like ultimately I'm the one that's in control of when this is done and when it releases. And it doesn't make sense to release something so wildly different like this if you don't get it right, you know, because you put it out there in the world and then people would be like, yeah, you know, it was kind of cool, but, you know, I didn't really feel like it worked. Whereas if you get it all right, they're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, how did he end up with this?
What advice would you give to people who want to get started making their own video games?
Just start making video games. Like, you have to jump in at some stage, you know. I know some people are like, oh, I felt like I never had enough experience, I didn't know C++. It's like, you don't need any of that. Just find a tool like UDK, Unity, Flash, whatever, Game Maker, and just start messing around. And through the process of messing around, you'll be like, oh, can I also do this? Can I do this? What happens if I apply this to this over here? And if you do that over like a couple of months or like a year, you'll pick up a hell of a lot of knowledge and be able to, you know, start making games. The other piece of advice would be, don't set your standards at like Braid as the very first thing that you're ever going to create, because that was not the first thing that he created. Antichamber was not the first thing that I ever worked on. Like I was prototyping, like I was doing rapid prototyping for years, and then I got a couple of, you know, I got like over a year of industry experience before I then decided to, you know, start making this. And I still was just aiming at this like small mod. I only sort of set the standards higher and higher as I was like, oh, hang on, I'm almost at this level, let's push it a little further. Well, now I'm almost at this level, let's push it a little further.
And that brings me to the last question. If you had to sum up video game development and design in just one word, what would that one word be?
Hard work. That's not one word.
Let's put them together.
Hard. Difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for talking to us. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.